Welcome back. Welcome to video 8, I believe it is. Yeah, video 8, part 8 of our 12-part series called Turning the Page, a self-guided book study course to Recovery Dharma. Yeah, and if you don't know what Recovery Dharma is, I say this in every video just in case somebody stumbles across them randomly. Recovery Dharma is a Buddhist approach to recovery from addictions of all kind. Whether you're addicted to drugs, alcohol, harmful behaviors, Recovery Dharma is here to help you out. And as I say in most of the videos, if you don't have a copy of the book, get a copy of the book. There'll be a link to a free PDF of the book in the description below. Yeah, and also if you're going through this book study course together, make sure you're highlighting things each week. Make sure you're taking notes. This is intended to be an interactive, self-guided book study course where you're actively going through the book, filling out inquiries, engaging with the material. You're not just taking my word for it. Heaven forbid you do that. Yes. So, anyways, in this week we're doing two folds this week. We're doing wise action as well as wise livelihood. So, yeah, let's get into that. Okay, cool. So, we're covering wise action as well as wise livelihood. Why are we bundling two of them together? They're pretty much intertwined as far as a lot of what you do at work and what you do for a living has to do with your actions. So, just in the sake of brevity and punctuality, I don't know, just to get to the point, quite frankly, we're going to bundle the two of them together. I know in person meetings, a lot of times I'll bundle these two together in the same discussion. If you're new to our course, if you're new to these videos and not familiar with the format, each week I'll cover what the major themes are for the section of the book that we're covering. From there, I will go through the book and share the various things that I highlighted in my book. I hope you are following along to see what you highlighted in your book and what notes you made. And then ultimately, I'll also be sharing some personal experiences. That's right. I'll be sharing some personal experiences with you of my 4+ years of working Buddhist recovery programs and just anecdotally as far as helping others figure this stuff out. So I'm going to be treating this as if the two of us were working together. And I'm happy to walk you through the Recovery Dharma book, tell you what stood out to me, and I'll share anecdotally what stands out to a lot of other people in the in-person meetings. That way, wherever you're at, whoever you are, and wherever you're at on your journey, you'll have the help of a wise friend, hopefully, to walk you through this book. So that's the hope. So, that said, wise action. The first thing I have highlighted is on page 29. Wise action. Wise action is based on the intention to do no harm and to foster compassion, loving kindness, generosity, and forgiveness. Heck yeah. We try to do what's skillful and avoid actions that are unskillful. That's good advice. Wise action asks that we try to make choices based on understanding and not unthinking habits or ignorance. Yeah. th- that's wise action in a nutshell. Wise action's pretty straightforward in my experience as far as trying to explain it. My main point, the first point I would make is wise action can also be thought of as wise living. Wise living, or a phrase that's sometimes used in recovery communities, do the next right thing. You know, most of us can understand do the next right thing. Now, there'll be some pushback in certain recovery circles of like, I didn't know what the next right thing was to do. Okay, well, if you don't know what the next right thing to do is, then we definitely need to have a conversation, have a deeper dive discussion. But generally speaking, most people know right from wrong. And I'm probably going to get blown up in the comments on that one. But wise action is very much the whole intention of do no harm. Do no harm. Foster compassion, foster loving kindness, foster generosity, foster forgiveness. Like those are the essence of wise action. The essence of wise action ties in directly with the understanding of wise understanding and the concept of karma, the concept of cause and effect that we discussed in a previous video. It's this discussion that, if we can cultivate and nourish healthy, positive, beneficial behaviors, thoughts, emotions, and nurture those. And then we can learn to identify and tame the harmful, unhealthy, unskillful thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. If we can cultivate the good in our lives and tame the harmful, generally speaking, life's a lot easier. And generally speaking, we don't want to drink, drug, and harm ourselves. So yeah, wise action. The first point I want to make is that it's essentially wise living, essentially doing the next right thing. And if you want to get into it from a Buddhist perspective, which if you're watching these videos and you're going through this book, I imagine you probably do. The second quote I want to touch on, which is the second point, gets into, and this is going to be a bit of reading, so bear with me on this one. We're going to go through the five precepts. The concept of the five precepts starts with the Buddha suggested that we make a commitment to avoiding five specific actions that cause harm, a commitment which is known as the five precepts. We commit to the five precepts as our basic ethical system. One, we set the intention to avoid taking the life of another living being or causing harm to ourselves or another living being, i.e., don't kill. Two, we set the intention to avoid taking what is not freely given or stealing. Yeah, don't steal. Three, we set the intention to avoid causing harm through our sexual conduct and to be aware of the consequences, impact of our sexual activity and desire. That's right, sexual conduct's important. Four, we set the intention of being honest and not lying and of not using speech in a harmful way, which we discussed a little bit previously in the last video. And five, we set the intention to avoid the use of intoxicants and intoxicating behavior that cloud our awareness. Well, it is a recovery program. I would assume the fifth one goes without saying. Five precepts. Point number two, and the general theme of this video or this section of the book is the concept of the five precepts. And I would also strongly encourage for those who want to gain a better understanding of the five precepts to look at the five trainings of mindfulness as taught by Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese monk. I'll try to put something in the description about the five trainings of mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Zen monk. But the five precepts, to clarify, are not five commandments. Okay, I'm from the Midwest and this comes up a lot. They are five recommendations for ethical and moral conduct codes. They are five suggestions and five commitments that we make to ourselves, to others, and to our community as a whole, to act more wisely, to act more skillfully, to bring more harmony to ourselves and those around us. And if you look at these suggestions, they're pretty straightforward suggestions. Like the idea of like do no harm, the don't take what's not freely given, watch and observe, sexual misconduct, the concept of not lying, the idea of we don't consume intoxicants for our own sake and for the sake of our community. These are five guidelines. This is definitely an area where you can get into a deeper Dharma study on the five precepts or the five trainings of mindfulness, but they're just recommendations. Like the big takeaway that I want to say for this portion is they're not commandments. It's very much do the next right thing, which is the first point of and first theme of this section. If you and I were working together and we were going through this book together, I would highly encourage you to go through the inquiry questions on here. Have you acted in a way that was unskillful or that created suffering? How have you caused harm? Have you taken what has not been freely given? Have you behaved irresponsibly with your sexual conduct? What are your patterns of dishonesty? Have you used intoxicants or other behaviors to cloud your ability to see clearly? Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is pretty straightforward as far as the inquiry process. Yeah, uh, as far as wise action goes, definitely take a look at those. It's really the main ideal is do the next right thing. Um, and I feel like this is a pretty straightforward section, quite frankly. It's much more inquiry work in wise action. which leads us into wise livelihood. Wise livelihood. This is this is always the shortest discussion of the book. I mean, there's certain sections like wise intention where you have a lot of discussion. The concept of sangha has a lot of discussion, and a couple other areas such as the three jewels have a lot of discussion. But wise livelihood's pretty straightforward. I do have two sections I want to quote on it though. The first being, we try to avoid jobs that give rise to suffering and seek work that does no harm or reduces suffering. The Buddha mentions 5 kinds of livelihood to avoid: trading in weapons. Yeah, don't sell guns and knives, kids, or instruments of killing. Trafficking in or selling human beings. That should be pretty straightforward. Killing of other beings. That one gets into a little gray area with people working in butcher shops. I had a gentleman actually working at a meat packing plant at one point. Making or selling addictive drugs or businesses in poison. We're encouraged to avoid occupations based on dishonesty or injury. Excuse me. Yeah. It goes on then to say, whatever our job is, we can practice it mindfully with the intention of non harming, of easing suffering, and of compassion. This means developing an attitude towards our occupation beyond just the money. Yeah, don't think about just the money we make. We can develop an approach of service, caring about the effects our actions on others, both within and outside our workplaces. Yeah, it's the idea generally, don't do horrible, despicable work whenever possible. There's a lot of gray areas here as far as what is and isn't harmful and unskillful behavior when it comes to different trade skills. And a lot of this gets into a deeper discussion that is up for personal interpretations. Generally speaking, I think the big takeaway of wise livelihood when it comes to recovery circles, is, if anything else, is you know don't put your practice in a box. Don't put your practice in a box. Take it off the cushion. Take your practice everywhere. The whole concept of the meditations that we do, the heart practices, the insight practice, and everything that we do. This isn't intended to be like just a segmented thing that you just do on the cushion. Take it off the cushion. Take it into your job. Take it into your place of work. Take it into your community. And be mindful. Be compassionate. Take that meta loving kindness. I know from my personal experience, when it comes to wise livelihood and trying to do more compassionate work, I view the workplace as an active place to practice compassion for others. Just in the hallways at work and seeing, and dealing with difficult emails and things like that. Wise livelihood, for me, at its essence, is one, don't do horrible, horrible things for a living. Okay. And then from there, bring a sense of mindfulness, compassion for others. So, um, yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward. So, hopefully that was helpful. I don't know. Anyways, if you and I were working together for the sections on wise action and wise livelihood, we'd definitely be going through some inquiry questions on here. And this would be definitely more of a dialogue section. So wherever you're at in your recovery, if you have some wise friends that you could possibly go through these inquiry questions with, I encourage you to do the inquiry questions on this. Outside of that, it's primarily wise living and taking it off the cushion. So, yeah, that's this week's video. And in the next video, we're going to talk about wise mindfulness and wise concentration. Yeah, we're going to talk about meditation, man. I love wise mindfulness, wise concentration. Spoiler alert, it's going to be primarily a discussion on meditation. So, yeah, that should be pretty obvious. So, anyways, thank you so much for your interest in these videos. Thank you for watching. And if you are finding them of help or of benefit, or generally speaking, you just want to be a nice person, feel free to like, subscribe, and share the videos. It helps other addicts in recovery find our videos. That's just how people find out about this stuff. So, yeah, thank you so much. And I'll see you in the next video on wise mindfulness and wise concentration. See you soon. Bye-bye. Come back.